change coming. I'm feeling a change coming. Right here, I'm feeling a change. I'm feeling a change all around me. No doubt, I'm feeling a change. I'm feeling a change running down me. Now, there's change coming. Now, there's change coming. Now, there's change coming. Now, there's change coming. There's change coming. There's change coming. There's change coming. There's change coming.
This is the spiritual war. This is the spiritual war.
I feel the rain on my skin. I hear my heart beating within. I feel the spirit in the wind.
This is the spiritual war.
Bigger than what I see in front of me. Deeper than the valleys below my feet. I'm in between two worlds that meet.
This is the spiritual war.
This is a spiritual war. Everybody's choosing sides, trying hard to justify. They lock the doors and stay inside. This is a spiritual war. It's not against flesh or blood. One heart, one mind, one love. It's time to rise up with the sun. This is a spiritual war. 'Cause it's a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war. Take the blue, the red. You wanna be alive or you wanna be whack. Ain't nobody got the time to be fed. It's manipulated, jaded, and fake. The world's got a lot of things to offer. If they only bow down and give myself a profit. I see the diamonds, gold, and all these fancy dollars, and whatever else they try to cough up, all just to keep me locked up. But I ain't gon' run with it, I ain't gon' talk like them. I ain't gon' play around sitting singing songs with them. I ain't gon' live like that, in the pit of hell with my so-called baller hat. I ain't gon' do that, I'ma play the game different. Ain't no shame with it, I'ma win with no chains on me. Holding on to victory as I walk in peace and talk with authority, knowing who I am and it ain't boring me.
I'm feeling a change coming. I'm feeling a change coming. Right here, I'm feeling a change. I'm feeling a change all around me. No doubt, I'm feeling a change. I'm feeling a change running down me. Been a long time coming, long time coming.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today on the LeCape Livestream podcast, where we cover in live all the things that we've been learning here on live streams. This is our test bed for a lot of different cool things. As you can tell, we're already changing up a little bit of the format here. Again, minor tweaks here, but some things that are huge. Like, for instance, right now we are multi-stream, and so that is one of the things that I love to set up for churches and for other organizations, and so that's what we're doing here. And to give you a quick bio, what we're trying to do with this channel, the goal is really to, again, help individuals, help people who are jumping in, help them basically try and connect with the church and to connect again through live stream and through the technology platforms that are here. So if you have anybody who are pastors who are looking to kind of get plugged in on these kind of things, now's the time to get them jumped in. Today is really geared towards them because we're trying to help pastors to, people who are just one-man bands. They don't have gear, they don't have equipment. In the case of us, like we have a light going on, we have, audio connections and all that stuff. So what do you do when you don't have those? Yesterday we did a little bit of the topics of basically how to again, use your phone in ways to, go live. Specifically, it was covering lighting, composition, and sound. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit more interesting, which is we're going to actually cover the topics of, do a little recap on lighting, but I want to show you guys in real time what it looks like and how it affects on the phone. And then we're going to jump into how to multi-stream on a phone. And that's the entire goal here. So if you're new to the channel, let's take a little moment here to kind of introduce ourselves. Again, we go live in the month of April. We're doing every weekday at 9 p.m. Central. So join us here. I get actually quite a few comments and questions about, different setups, how we're doing the things we're doing. And, one of the goals is to, again, get you guys towards walk or crawl, walk, run, and get you guys built up to where you're able to live stream with confidence here. So, the other thing I want to mention is we do have a group here for the church specifically. It's called Livestream Church. It's on Facebook. Just search for, again, Livestream Church in the search window. And you want to do that basically because, again, we'll be going, giving away different tips and tricks throughout that whole time period, over the next couple weeks from there. And it's just a place where you guys can, again, connect and grow. And then lastly, I wanted to, again, jump here again into the live stream lighting recap. And for me, it was something that we kind of demoed a little bit yesterday, but one of the things that we were still testing was, again, pulling in our phone in a way that worked. And so today we finally got a setup so I can actually have multicam here to demo what it looks like, again, as you change lighting in your, on your phone. So right now I've actually got listed right here on my phone. And you'll notice already the big difference between how things look. And this is actually a software that's called NDI. It's letting me actually take this and pull it into OBS, which is what we use to broadcast. And I wanted to highlight some of the issues that we typically run into. One is, if you're doing, again, a front-facing camera, you'll notice right now that there's this weird, again, distortion that's taking place. Things look different than obviously what you're seeing on the camera right over here. The shadows are lifted because, again, typically an iPhone assumes while you weren't intending to be in a dark space, so I'm going to lift up those shadows automatically. You'll also notice that things generally have a lower contrast and things are distorted. And so a couple things that you can do on here. One is very simple, is to, again, just increase the zoom here that's set up. Adjust the framing. Pull that a little bit out here. Something right about there. All right, so this is typically what you'd see in a live stream. I'm going to actually just talk directly to the iPhone here as we kind of run through it. So I don't get weirded out as I'm kind of just looking off to just the iPhone. So that's part of it, is, again, getting a framing that works, making sure that you know what you've got behind you. So you might need to adjust certain things to make it look good. Again, obviously I've framed this for, our Sony camera that we've got here. But a couple things you'll notice the iPhone doesn't do a good job of, at least on my screen I can notice it. There's definitely some like rim lights here coming from this light that is not translating the same way as the camera. And this, again, is one of those issues of, again, we're talking light sources and how cameras apply to, how cameras on phones versus on quality cameras deal with it. Already you can see a huge difference here. Again, on the actual, Sony full frame camera, looks actually still passable. But when you get onto this, I mean, we're talking Iron Man 3 level effects here going onto my face. Not cool. So one of the things that you can do, again, and this was a demo that we did, was essentially control your light sources. So one of the key things is if you've got mixed lighting going on, it's going to cause issues like this. You could have a cool tone light and then a warm light here. You're going to want to take that light and bring it to a distance and use your camera here as more of a way to, again, preview what you're doing. Think of it almost like you're painting in light while you're working on it. already I can tell too, it's a little more bright than I would necessarily want. So I can actually, again, hop on here and adjust the shutter just slightly. It's still too dark here. Now I've gone very moody here. So this is some things that you can do to kind of, again, you can see it's a little bit closer to kind of what I was dealing with. You know, and placement is another thing that we were discussing last time. So if you remember, when you're talking like this, if your face is pointing towards it, your body still is going to look a little bit weirder than if you were, say, again, at a more eye level. You know, again, an eye level camera framing is something that's very helpful here. Now, if I were, again, doing something like this, while it makes my chin nice, you lose kind of this connection. You feel like you're separated from it. So it's really rather not a great place, not a great way of actually highlighting your face. So what I typically recommend is, again, eye level. That's what our main camera is on. For the sake of, again, I have a small table and I need to be able to demo. We're on a much lower side, you know, much lower setup here. But lighting is going to be something that you definitely want to play with and you want to be able to have control over. So when it comes to pulling in different lights, you can use incandescents, but you need to find a way to actually soften them. You need to add in a bounce to, again, soften out that light. Some great options, again, is you could set up a light source near a wall and have that bounce into you. That's one way of making it work. Other ways that you can kind of, again, lighten up a space is to put a diffusion. So I'm going to actually show you guys just through the iPhone, which is hilarious because I can do that. We have a giant softbox here that's right above me. So again, that's getting, you know, suspended here in midair, and that kind of, again, gives a, you know, again, a nice cast on the face. You know, in terms of the lighting that's hitting, it's because it's a larger light source, it's softer. While if you're dealing with a much harder light source, things won't look necessarily as good. A couple other things you want to keep in mind too. The rule of thirds, which you can't see it on the live stream here, but you want to follow the rule of thirds when you're actually streaming. And one of the ways of doing it is to basically, again, you have if you were to divide the line here and also divide, excuse me, it's just like Weatherman, divide it right here, you'll notice that, again, you want to be within those, that quadrant space. So basically take it as if you were doing tic-tac-toe across the screen, perfectly dividing this into 9 pieces. Those lines are the lines of interest. So you want to do that. Quick, wanted to give a shout out to Nia, who joined us here as well. Thank you guys for all the people who are tagging as well. We're going to be going basically and covering different ways to you know, utilize lighting, which is one of the things we're talking about, and then how to, again, properly set up, if you're doing live streams through your phone, what you can do, and then ideally how to multi-stream through your phone. Now, you will require a computer as well, and the only reason I say that is, again, for chatting with other people. So, case in point, right now, I'm able to see literally, I am broadcasting, I think right now, to 6 different streaming services as just a test for this, but all of the comments are getting brought into a single window, which is great. So, without further ado, let's kind of hop into that. The other thing, last little note to, again, point out is to always, again, pick places when it comes to the lighting that are flattering for you. So in the case of this, you know, I can already tell, you know, again, for the iPhone, bringing my light source a little bit lower is going to actually help this. You saw kind of the HDR look that was being given from the phone earlier. If you missed that, rewind back. We won't count it against you. But those are kind of the different things that you want to keep in mind with as you're kind of going and using your phone is, again, picking an angle that works with you, picking lighting that is a single color tone. Right now we are able to have red lighting behind us. We've got some blue. All this stuff is smart lighting, which I'm going to actually leave links here you know, as we're going for you guys to be able to check those out. But the point is, again, when you're going basic, when you're going with an iPhone, control your light. Another thing that I wanted to highlight, which you can't really show without actually demoing the real life problem, is what happens here. Now you can see actually I'm physically not touching, like the light is actually not even touching it, it's just slightly above it, but you notice how actually there's a blue cast that's happening from this light? That is, again, because the device itself, like, there is no protection, like a lens hood that you'd expect from a DSLR. There's nothing protecting it. So when you bring a light source above it, it's going to actually pick up some of that light and then transfer it to the image. And even worse, if you have a light source that's typically right behind, like a bright sun from a day, if you're pointing towards like a window, that's going to be something that's also a problem. But this is something that I see common in everything from Zooms, and obviously it's exaggerated right now, but this is something I see common in Zoom conferences. I see common in anytime someone FaceTimes, there's this moment happening. And a lot of people don't understand that it's literally just, you've got light hitting from the top, and you need to be able to find a way to control this. And one of the ways that you can do that, and I'll quick highlight it, it's really rather simple. You do this automatically when you're outside. One of the crazy things that you do is when you're getting blinded by the sun, you just cover it with your hand. So creating just, again, a cheap hood for your lens can actually turn what would be a bad image like this and remove that haze. So one of the cheap options is literally getting, you could get a piece of cardboard, you could get a piece of Post-it note. Hilarious as it may seem, but those are things that you can do to improve your game. Super easy and cheap, and you have it lying around the house. Paper, cardstock, whatever. Put those with a small hole for your lens, and you'll be able to block out the light. So if you have an overhead light in a room where you're always live streaming, that's typically what the problem is. I'm seeing from Nia that she says, appreciate that, Nia. Well, you should check into our former episodes. This is episode 7 that we've gotten. You know, really appreciate hearing from you guys. I see what Chris and your church has been doing, so I know that everybody's in on this. Everyone's working it, and I really appreciate the comments, and I appreciate seeing you guys on here. If you have questions that I can help answer, I'll be doing this again Monday through Friday in the month of April. So feel free to shoot me those questions. I'll actually produce a video for it. This one is actually kind of covering that same territory. I had some people ask me, how essentially I'm doing a smart lighting setup, so I wanted to go through that. So again, simple tips for when you're using your phone, getting a Gorilla Pod, getting a tripod mount. There's a lot of other ways you can do it. You can get just a straight up tripod mount, plug that into a light stand. Music stands work also well, and they also have adapters. Typically you'll see that for an iPad if you're trying to actually do music, but you could also use that for live streaming. On an iPad, I always want to recommend, the front camera is going to be terrible, so use the back typically. On a newer iPad, that's better. It is harder to necessarily use. Ideal situation is use your iPhone. The front camera is much more forgiving than the back, than an iPad would ever be. And it's either way, an iPad or an iPhone or a cellular device or tablet will be an improvement over your standard base webcam. So, all right, continuing on here. I wanted to jump into our next little piece here, which is I wanted to discuss the smart lights that we're using. So I'm going to actually hop out of here. I've been using the phone, and again I used an app called NDI Camera. Let me make sure I get the name here correct. NDI HX Camera. It's an app that lets you basically live stream directly to your computer, which is really useful if you want to do a multicam shoot. Now, to keep in mind though, there will be latency, as you already saw, that was introduced. So it's more of, you can cut to that camera, and I wouldn't do it in a wired scenario, but you can do that as well. So one of the tricks I wanted to show you guys is, it's funny, in our house here when we got it, I got on a smart bulb kick where I was just getting a ton of different smart bulbs. And one of the things that's really awesome about them is, again, you can use these bulbs that are existing, and I mentioned one that's right here. It's Philips Hue. You can actually use this same light bulb setup to basically control your ambient light around you. Right now we've got 2 overhead cans that are happening just from the room that are built in. Right now I do have actually a rim that's getting hit from that's a white rim softbox here, but the intelligent lighting, we've got one here, the backsplashes that are happening there, and then also this light here, and all of it is controllable. So one quick option that I'll quick show you before we hop into that is, I wanted to, again, I'll share all these links right now with you guys. And I'm literally doing this in real time, so There we go. So those are all the links here that I'm going to be covering here during the next 5-minute segment here. So why would you want to use intelligent lighting? It's very expensive, and you'll see from the Philips Hue, it is the easiest one to use, but is also crazy expensive. The next step down is this Liftix, I believe is how you pronounce it, but that one is a little bit more price conscious. IKEA, it's interesting because their stores are now closed. You have to get a hub for theirs. You also need one for the Philips as well. So you want to pick one that has a hub either included or it doesn't require one. But what it lets you do is crazy things like being able to, again, completely change your lighting setup right from your phone. So right now I'm actually using, again, the IKEA app, which is hilarious that there's ever a product from IKEA that I can reference here that is quite easy to use. But one of the great things is I can control different pieces of the light here. So like in the case of this light bulb, I have full control over it. I can control the intensity. Oh, I'm sorry. I will jump back to my, I'll bring it over here. I love lamp, and I think that was actually an IKEA commercial here. So I can control the intensity of this light, turning it on and off. I can also pick from a crazy wide range of colors here, where again I can choose, if I want to add a red tone to it, green, I want to go daylight. And this was really the huge trick of this, was basically enabling you to go, when you're in a room that gets a lot of light, but you need to boost the light that's hitting your face. So let's say for us, our main light source is right there. We're at night, so I'm controlling everything. But for somebody who's like live streaming during the day, usually you'll get a lot of light here and not a lot of light here. And so being able to, again, add in the same color temperature is huge. So right now, obviously, this is much warmer than our main light source that's happening here. So I can just, again, find the correct light source, cool it down to where it just is either a nice accent. I can add in a nice blue hue to it if I want to. And so you have the ability to, again, get creative with what you're doing here rather than just being trapped with whatever's set up. Again, in a worship type setting where you're doing, like, again, something more urban, you can add in just some subtle lighting into it and it gives a nice just look to it. It's hilarious how gamer channels right now on YouTube are, have already been doing this for years. And granted, they are much more in the pop realm of colors, the pop realm of everything. But it is still useful to, again, follow what they're doing and to check out the techniques and tools that they've used, and then also build off of that and create new things. So Philips Hue was one of those that I mentioned. And again, I mentioned the IKEA smart lighting is another, and it's really order of expense. You have Philips Hue, Liftix, however you want to pronounce it, IKEA. Those are the ones that are currently reliable. Then from there are a ton of generics that are available on Amazon too, but when I wanted, as I came here to wrapping up my traditional 1 hour of prep time for this podcast, I came across the same problem that we always run into with IKEA, or with Amazon. It's like I will present something that works, but some of those, when you see them online on Amazon, you're just like, will that start a fire in my house? Like all those kind of questions go through your mind. So I wanted to give options. The easiest, like I said, is Philips Hue. Tons of support for it. All the other options that are listed from the comment that I posted have, again, a good customer support through that. So I wanted to also finalize a couple simple tips too before we hop into our big deal, which is, again, covering through the process of basically going live on a phone. Number one is, again, clean your phone lens and mic. If you have makeup, if you have greasy skin, you're in a dusty environment, it just all, like, it goes without saying already, we should be using basically a disinfectant on our phones anyways. But if you're not, make the point of cleaning out that lens, make the point of cleaning out your microphones, because these typically gather dust. If you're using a mic setup like iMic or I believe iRig, if you're doing music, you're doing a breakout box, any of those kind of things, then it's not as important. But just out of good practice, it's good to clean those things out if that's how you're using it. Turning off mixed lighting, we talked about that. and I already demoed it before. If you missed it, rewind. It's rather crazy how much this light bulb itself can actually affect the skin colors on an iPhone, while on this camera, you know, again, any kind of professional level camera will handle it better. So that's the second tip I would say. The other thing is, don't record bright lights in the background. And I say this because if you have windows behind you, your iPhone, no matter how good of a camera it is, it will expose for the brightest object out there and it will lose you. Or if it is, you know, again, catches your face, you're gonna find everything's blown out. And so controlling what's behind you is just as important as controlling for your face. The other thing I wanted to quick cover too, again, was that idea of creating a hood. Dirt cheap is a post-it note that you Sharpie black, but there are other options that you can do. But again, the idea is just like how you would cover your eyes here, because if you get glare, you're just like, I've got to cover my eyes with my hand. You need to do that with your lens. So if you have an overhead light source, right now we have nothing that is going from above, which would cause an issue with this specific camera. But on your phone, it's way less forgiving. So you want to be, again, very cautious of what you're doing there. The second thing I wanted to say was, again, the room that you're picking, you want to, if you're going live, you want to pick a room that's got a rug, it's got a carpet, has sofas. We talked over this yesterday, so if you want a more in-depth, check it out there. I'm just going through it quickly. The last couple things that I think are critical is, again, to test your internet first, test your streaming first. And we're going to kind of cover that as we step into multi-streaming on with Restream, and there are other services for it, but this is just the one that I found that's best value per se of what you can get. So these are, again, a list of simple tips that you can do when you're actually operating your phone, trying to, again, live stream. So let's talk about streaming to YouTube and Facebook with one phone, because I think that is, for some people, it just kind of boggles their mind. Now, unfortunately, places like TikTok, if you have 1,000+ followers, or places like Instagram or even Snapchat, you're kind of tied to the fact that they want you inside of this app, and so they will control it. But all the tips that I just sent to you guys before is extremely useful for those, including getting a stabilizer if you're walking around, having, you know, a lapel. That's what we're using here. It's a Sennheiser. Those kind of things you want to leverage when you're, again, going live. But let's talk about, how do you do that? How do you go and stream from one single phone, or in our case, one single camera? And I'm not actually, again, shooting it out from my computer. I'm not doing some crazy hack where I'm shooting from, you know, my computer to Facebook and to YouTube and all these things. Because again, bandwidth is limited. So you want to, again, intelligently decide where these things go. So I'm using a service that's called Restream, and you're doing what's known as multi-streaming. There are other services like Vimeo that offer it. You know, Vimeo offers it, Caster, Wirecast, I believe, has it. There's a ton that are out there. Even Teradek has it built in with their services. But the reason why I pick Restream for a church environment is typically, you know, again, if you look in our past videos that we've had episodes where we talked about getting out of Premiere, that was, I believe, was episode 4. We talked about why, you know, again, doing this idea of you record beforehand, you edit, and then you upload it for a Premiere is not necessarily the best way in terms of viewer engagement, because there's nothing says, you know, not real time like Premiere versus live. And live is something you can do in Restream as well. It's called Scheduler. And it's a service that lets you basically, again, upload that video, put it on a calendar, and then it posts it as if it's live. And so you're leveraging the fact that tens of thousands of streams are going through Restream at any one time. You're leveraging the tech support and all that kind of stuff to make it work. But what multi-stream lets you do is go to YouTube, you can go to Facebook, and as I mentioned at the start of this video, I'm actually posting to about 6 different streaming services, including Mixer, Twitch, I'm doing Twitter right now, like literally all these different services, and it's insane. And one of the things that I think people get nervous about is they think, okay, well that means I've got to have 6 different phones texting and responding to all those people. And that's not true, actually. Tomorrow when I demo it, I've got it generally working up on here, but I have a way that you can, again, be able to take all of those different feeds and work in one window on all of them. You can see where they're coming from. Right now, the vast majority right now has come through Facebook. but I can stream to Facebook groups, pages, profiles. I can do YouTube, and all these different methods, and all the comments go into one spot, which is really awesome. So it simplifies the entire task of trying to upload, the entire task of, again, or I should say not upload, live stream and communicate with your fan base at the same time. So let's kind of delve into this. Now I'm going to show you guys a slide. You can snapshot it if you want, but it's going to walk you through basically, again, this multi-stream concept. And if you were to flowchart it, just again, take it, you're going to your phone, you are transmitting using an app straight up to Restream, and then Restream does all the heavy lifting of shooting it out to all those other places with high-speed servers to stream it across all these different places. So here's our setup. So like I said, you head over to restream.io to sign up. And again, this is, I'm not getting affiliate dollars for this, but this is again from the research that I've looked through. Other options, while there are great ones like Wirecast Pro is awesome, it's $700. That's a lot of money that could be spent towards a camera, towards lighting. So if you're more budget conscious, it's kind of a way to go. This also lets you do things called pull links, which basically I can have one account that, I'm going to be demoing it probably later this week, where a pastor is going to be live streaming from his house. But I mean, he's just got to worry about what's in his head and what he's trying to say. So he just needs to be able to live stream. While I can sit there, take his stream, put on lower thirds, graphics, and all these just different kinds of things, and almost turn my house into a video village, and then stream that as a finalized stream to the church. And so he's able to, again, get the benefits of, being able to have multiple different streams, having lower thirds and all these different things, but not have all the headaches of complexity that, a person in video who just understands how it works does. So we're going to, again, like I said, we're going to walk through signing up for Restream. Once you've set it up, and there's different tiers that are available, I definitely recommend not having the Restream branding. It does cost money, but there is an actual coupon that's available. On Facebook, they've been pitching it, but it's 30% off. I can't say how long it's going to be here, but again, while we're kind of stuck in quarantine, 30% off is actually great. You can even lock in that lifetime savings if this is something that you're trying to do. And again, I don't get affiliate dollars for this, but this is just, again, the point of, something that's really easy to do. And that's where, again, the service, once you've signed up, you, again, connect it to Facebook and to YouTube. It's super easy. Literally, you just press the plus button and hit add channel. You add through those different channels. Once you've got there, it gives you basically what looks like a list of 6 different channels, and it'll say it's offline. Like for me right now, that's my way of actually knowing that things have gone live. It'll actually say boom, 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 boom on all these 6 channels. You're online and it's pushing out data and it's fine. Now you can also do, because you, again, every time you connect with an account, what it does is it's not like a dumb server in the sense of, once I show you the app that we're using here, which is called Broadcast Me, it's really kind of rather dumb in the way that it works. But what's cool is on Restream, you can actually literally title everything at once. And you can also put a description in for everything at once. So if you have music licensing that you're doing, that you need to put in a stream code with, you can do it across all of those things. You can also put, again, in your hashtags, you can put in all those different pieces that would be useful for SEO. All inside there, your quick, visitor walk-in, or walk-through, I should say, for, who you are and what you're doing. All those kind of things can get automatically added in. So that's what setting up titles and descriptions, super useful. You can do it basically, as a part of this workflow. It should be done right before you test. Change out your titles, change out your descriptions, and then you're going to test without going live. And I'll explain how that works. But the way that I've been able to do it, and they actually have got on the Restream website, there's a walkthrough. And again, there are other apps for this, but it's not bad. It's $5. You download an app called Broadcast Me, and you can actually live stream directly to Restream. You can also do what's known as a pull link, which means I could actually live stream onto someone else's as well. That same concept where the pastor live streams to my house. I put in all the lower thirds and graphics, and then I stream that out as a master stream. That does require a second account, so heads up on that. But yeah, once you basically, again, downloaded it, you unlocked unlimited streaming, you walk through their very quick walkthrough, and it's literally, like, for me, I think it was about 4 steps. and I was there. Now the painful step was downloading and having to put in your password. Really, out of the rest, it's very simple and easy to get it up and going. But the main thing is, once you've basically done that, you've been able to again get Restream to work on this. The one thing that I recommend is again you'll go to your dashboard on Restream, and everything has a switch. You can literally turn off streaming to everything at once if you wanted to. And that's what I actually recommend. Turn them all off and then test it just on your phone. Get your mic set up. If you're not using a mic, headphones is a better option than none. You want to make sure to basically, again, try and test out your audio, test out your lighting, test your streaming capability. And one of the things, if you look on some of our past episodes, I might even just put it as a part of a heads up, is to, again, stream for the lowest common denominator. So Facebook currently is that. YouTube has been awesome. You can stream full HD in there and they don't complain. YouTube, if you go over 4,000 kilobits per second, you will cause pain to your stream, while YouTube does not take that problem at all. So just as a heads up, there are limitations. You want to keep in mind that one of the great resources also is, again, Restream gives you the ability to, ask them questions. They're really quick in getting back. Even if you're like, hey, Facebook seems to be giving me problems, they're like, yep, here's a graph. It is giving you problems. Super helpful for that. So once you've gone through and you've tested it, and that's why I say, again, turning off those channels lets you view it right there in the browser window. You can turn on audio, test it with your headphones, and make sure audio doesn't sound bad. And there's a little bit of delay that you don't have to worry about there being kind of an echo situation like you would during a FaceTime call. So once you've done that, if you have a computer, this is where Restream Chat as an app, it works for Windows and for Mac. And Restream, I should mention, is a service that works across phones from Android to iPhone and Apple products, Mac, PC, whatever device you're using, as long as it can run OBS or it can run Wirestream, or it can, again, stream to Restream, you're good to go. And that's a lot of different options that you've got. But once you basically got those set up, you download that Restream Chat app. And the cool thing, again, is the fact that you can not only, I can not only see what you guys have commented up to this point, and I can see how Jennifer had said, how do you split the screen, like this? And that's, again, using OBS software to do that, which is open broadcast software. You can also, again, comment and engage, or you can have someone else do that. So if you're in a situation where you have two people in your house who are able to work on this, one person can literally be responding to questions and comments while the other one is actually streaming. So really rather great. But it also, again, lets you know when you want to post up something like, hey, I just said something that's really helpful. Like, for example, I restreamed the Philips Hue link and all those other places where you can, again, get smart lighting. Super easy way to do that. So the key then, again, is when it comes to live streaming, you want to, again, once you've gone through all these different steps from 1 all the way down to 7, or I should say, down to 7, where you've gotten Broadcast Me, you've tested it out, you've followed their instructions. The next key thing, though, is before you go live, to test. And you can do these privately as well. I recommend it because, again, for me, I just dove right in because that's what I do anyways. So our first live stream, the audio was rough enough where I don't reference it that much. And I'm on number 7 here. So if you look at the lighting, you look at the quality of what's been there, it's different now. So, but yeah, I want to, again, emphasize test before you jump in. And then once you've got, where you're down, you have a team in place. If you're a church, you should have moderators. And I've got a prior video, I believe it was episode 3, where we talked about translating your teams from where they have been to where they can actually be more of an internet street team. Both encouraging, you deputize them for, controlling comments that are line crossing. You also give the ability to share and to spread. And you want to, again, make your internet experience the same vibe when you come into a church. You want to rebuild community is what you're trying to do. So those pieces are just as critical as what I've covered here for the phone, because again, that's what makes these things work. So I think as far as the other things that I want to do, one quick tip I also suggest, which you kind of saw in our video here, was putting in a countdown that's short, but it gives you a time to just test out the feed across other people as well, is kind of a helpful thing. I definitely recommend when you invite people, don't invite them to a countdown, invite them to you. So, but yeah, I think those are the key things I wanted to kind of cover. Is there any, if there are any questions here, feel free to shoot them up in the comments. I'm checking it right now. But otherwise, I want you guys to, again, check us out. We will be going live again. As I mentioned, we go live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central during the month of April. And I want to also invite you guys again. We have a new Facebook group, as I mentioned, which is Livestream Church. Just search for Livestream Church. There's only one of those places, if you can believe it, that's in the groups with that same icon that's there. But until then, it's been a pleasure to talk with you guys. I've made it a point also before at the end of every stream. Not only am I going to probably have water next time because it's a lot of talking, but I want to pray for you guys, for those who are part of the church and are in this. For those who aren't a business owner, the reason I even started these videos was for the church, because I feel like it's the one place that can help rebuild community while we're all trapped inside of our homes. It's the one that can pivot the quickest, ironically. And so we make a point of praying because we also want to see an end to all the issues that have been going on, all the people who've been affected through through this season of life, and we're hoping for an end to it too. So, Father God, I thank you so much for today. I thank you because Lord, every single person who's joined in onto this live stream, God, you've given them more opportunities, Lord. Maybe they've come in with questions, or maybe they've just checked it out to just see what it's about. Lord, I pray for each person, Lord God, who is in this season looking again to grow themselves, that they would find ways to again grow the church, that they would rebuild communities, they would again find ways to bring hope and not just selfishness to this world. We thank you for each person who jumped in, for the families that are represented here. I pray for help, just again, encouragement and blessing for the parents who are here. And I also pray for the pastors and the leaders, Lord, who are again trying to manage a complete, total social change, that you would help them, Lord God, to navigate that. Give them strength and wisdom, and help us, Lord God, to help each other. Thank you for our time here together tonight. And I pray that you would just anoint each pastor who's jumped in on this, give them a blessing, Lord God, in their hearts, Lord God, and encouragement in their life. Thank you, Lord, for tonight. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys. Well, until then, like I said, join us here every weekday, 9 p.m. Central, and we will see you soon.